Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on the Best Coast Sports Connection. My name's Andy Bishop. I'm joined by Brian Vilvin. How
Howdy.
are you, sir?
Excellent. How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Thanks for joining me again. We're also joined by producer Thomas Conroy. Happy July 11th. How are you?
7-Eleven day, right?
Oh,
yeah.
what?
I know. Did you forget?
That just
I think
occurred
there's time.
to me.
I think there's
There's
time.
a 7-Eleven right,
I think it
right
goes
across the road.
from 11 to 7. You get the free Slurpees.
I
There
might
you
have
go.
to dig into that.
Yeah.
Well, here on The Connection, we're going to break down the latest and greatest sports news of the week. We had our first episode last week. Talked about NBA free agency a lot. We'll definitely scoop into that a bit. But our lead topic this week is Major League Baseball and the events that happened earlier this week, the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. Brian, did you watch a single second of any of it?
I was going to say, you just the events that happened. If I didn't watch it, did they actually happen? Because I didn't watch a second of Home Run Derby or the All-Star Game. The Home Run Derby was out of protest because the Franimal wasn't there, or even Hunter Renfroe. Geez, Manny Machado could have had a case for it. So I was a little bitter, butthurt. Even though I love the Home Run Derby normally, I did not watch a second. I heard about it. I heard Vlad stole the show, but Pete Alonso still won. Yeah, didn't watch anything. Didn't watch any of the All-Star Game either. And our boy Kirby Yates didn't get in, so it sounds like I didn't miss much. I missed a bunch of Dodgers losing to the American League again, so I've seen that game before.
It was frustrating. I didn't watch any of it. I did watch some of the Home Run Derby on repeat. I was a little miffed that Vlad got into it, even though he did put on a show. You know, he had, I believe, less than 10 home runs going into it. And as we've noted before here on The Connection, the Padres had 3 with 20-plus, and even Tatis had, I believe, a dozen in less at-bats than Vlad. But
yeah, I think he's got 14.
yeah, I did like that Vlad put on the show. But I just hope that next year is our year at the festivities.
Yeah.
Once we have a little bit more notoriety and hopefully a couple more position players in there and even some guys throwing. Thomas, did you watch it at all?
Just briefly, I watched. I got an alert on my phone about Guerrero's first at bat, and so I turned it on. Then I kind of just wandered away from it. You know, it just, I don't know. The Home Run Derby doesn't just do it for me anymore because of all the home runs that happens in actual games.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Did you guys see what Justin Verlander and even other people have said about the baseballs this year? Just how they're more juiced, just so that they can put more home runs in the seats and maybe draw more fans. Any thoughts on that, Brian?
Well, I think from a lot of accounts from pitchers and people who have caught foul balls even, it seems like there is something going on with the baseballs. I'm no expert in Rawlings manufacturing of baseballs, but the fact that Major League Baseball now owns Rawlings, and all of a sudden the balls seem juiced, and it makes for a lot of good conversation. But I think something's up. The league is on pace for the most home runs ever, and more than half the teams in the league are on pace to set single franchise records for home runs in a season. I don't just think that's because people are paying attention to launch angle. So I think there is something going on there, but honestly, I think it's exciting, man.
I
like it.
I agree with you. Last statistic I saw is that home runs were up 10% this year, and that Major League Baseball as a whole is on pace to hit 600 more home runs than any previous record.
That's a lot.
Speaking of All-Star Game, I just wanted to wear some attire that reminded me of the All-Star Game. I am rocking my 1997 Little League All-Star jacket from Poway American Little League.
That's pretty sweet. And you got the hat, too? Oh,
yes.
baby.
The
Poway green.
I'm not saying I was. I'm saying I am a 4-time All-Star. It may have been when I was the ages of 9 to 12 in Little League, but
nice.
I'm a 4-time All-Star.
Hey, it's in the books, baby. You can't take that away.
Speaking of the All-Star Game, you mentioned Kirby Yates didn't see any action. The AL wins 4-3. My only, I guess, consolation from the matchup, even though I wanted the NL to win, is that a Giants pitcher gave up the key home run to Joey Gallo. That's the one and only Will Smith, not the Will Smith. But I like seeing Giants suffer anytime I possibly can.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and the fact that there were so many Dodgers on the team and they lost, and it's always fun to, if your team isn't involved, which we're in no way involved in the All-Star festivities at all. You talked about Vlad Jr. being in the Home Run Derby. Something I wanted to touch upon is I was totally okay with him being in because it's a showcase event. But if you're trying to showcase the best and the brightest and the magnetic marketable player, why is Franmil Reyes not in that event? He's like the most likable player I can imagine. I can remember. I mean, well, now we've got Tatis too. Our whole team's super likable, but he encompasses the fun and joy of baseball, and he's this huge, larger-than-life personality and person, just stature-wise. I think MLB totally dropped the ball and missed a huge opportunity to showcase that guy who's got, close to 30 home runs at the All-Star break. I mean, what a wasted opportunity.
Such a fun guy. Like you said, so much personality. If you haven't watched Padres Twitter at all this year or haven't watched their viral videos, Franmil Reyes was in a post-game interview and left it off singing Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You. So that tells you a little bit of the type of personality that he is.
Yep.
So Padres will slowly stop talking about that.
All right, so we're no longer bitter now. We're moving on to the All-Star games in the rearview mirror. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But the Padres, let's backtrack a little bit before the All-Star break. The Padres kind of towing with that 500 mark, lost a few on a streak, but then they took 3 of 4 from the Los Angeles Dodgers in a couple of exciting games.
And they had to take 3 in a row there to. Those games are so important because that was a chance. That's going to be either way a turning point in the season. If you lose those games, all of a sudden you're floundering. I think they would have been 6 games below 500 if they had lost all of them. Instead, they win all 3. They go to 500. Now you're feeling good about yourself moving into the All-Star break. They'd just been swept by the lowly Giants. After they struggled against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. They seem to step up against the teams that they should maybe not be able to beat.
Exactly.
And then when they're playing against the teams they should be running over, they play down to their level. So I don't know. It might be an indictment on where we are right now, but it was really exciting. It had me fired up about things. That's probably why I was even more bitter about the All-Star game and not being represented, was we were coming off that high of 3 straight in Dodger Stadium, which we hadn't done in a couple decades. And so I think there's nothing but excitement moving forward here to the second half.
Certainly. Speaking of excitement, if you have nothing to do this Saturday night, the Padres are giving away Aloha shirts. Have you seen this?
I have.
Dude, those
good-looking shirt
are sick. Like every possible Padres logo and color over the last 50 years on that. Unfortunately, I'm working. Otherwise, I would head down to the ball game there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I went a couple weeks ago when it was Trevor Hoffman and Tony Gwynn jersey giveaway night. I already have one of the 80s brown, like the brown pinstripe with orange, just orange and brown, no gold in it. I already have. I think it was the Gary Templeton or maybe Benito Santiago giveaway. So I went with the blue Hoffman one, and it's like the best giveaway item I've ever gotten. I loved it. These shirts next week on Saturday. Saturday is the game with the shirts. Oh my gosh, yeah, those things are fire. Look awesome.
Let's hope they can give something good for the fans on the field as well. In a little bit more Padres news as we transition to the second half. Of course, the trade deadline coming up here in a couple weeks. Are the Padres going to be buyers or sellers or nothing at all? Thomas Conroy. Obviously, Noah Syndergaard is the big name potentially on the block right now. Several teams interested. Do you think there's any chance that the Padres could land him?
Yeah, I do think there's a chance. I don't know if it's a big chance, but I think there's a chance because they have such a plethora of young starting pitching and actually any relief pitching too in the minor leagues, and that's what the Mets are really looking for. And to me, I think one of the keys to the trade could possibly be if the Padres might be willing to give up Urias in the deal because the Mets are desperately looking for infield help. And I think if they obviously AJ Preller would have to determine if he has, if it's time to give up Urias, especially if it's for a quality pitcher like Syndergaard. If they get him, then they jump right to the top of the wild card chase.
I'm going to swing it over to Brian as well on this one. He mentioned Luis Urias.
Yeah.
I feel like I could ask you about 5 different questions right now, but we'll start with him.
Yep.
Is there any player like him that you're okay giving up if we can find an arm?
Well, just as Thomas was talking there, he was saying that the Mets are desperately in need of infield help, and they need specifically someone to come in and play second base. Well, the Padres all need a second baseman. So why is he still in AAA? I don't get it. Greg Garcia's been nice. Ian Kinsler has totally transformed where he was about 2 months ago when he was like, the biggest villain in town.
Still may go down as one of the least Padres players
totally.
of all time.
But he's turned it around a little bit. But those guys are still not the future at second base for the Padres. I know we have a lot of really good infielders down on the farm, but Urias, the numbers he's putting up, AAA numbers in the Pacific Coast League, you kind of got to throw them out the window because everybody just dominates the pitching down there. But we are a team that needs a second baseman, and I think he could come in and be electric, be an exciting player. So, no, I don't want to get rid of him.
I don't mind you saying that. I love the potential of Urias at second base along with Tatis at short. That middle infield combo that you could have for, at least 5 to 7 years, hopefully, further than that. So I love the idea of him there. Ty France, we saw him a little bit this year earlier, potentially an option there. But I'll move it back to Syndergaard.
Yep.
What do you think about his pitching? He's historically been about a 3 ERA type guy. It's closer to 4.5, 4.6 this year. But do you think he would be an arm that would truly help this team?
Yeah, I think immediately he comes in and he's the best pitcher on the staff. He would eat a lot of innings, but you'd also get good quality innings from him. You also got to think about him getting with Balsley and the ballpark. Like, I know it plays a lot more fair than it used to, but it still swings toward the pitchers. So I think he would immediately come in. He seems like a very likable guy. He's this big, larger-than-life character. I feel like he'd fit in really well on our team. It just depends on what we'd have to give up for him. If we could get – he's a controllable asset, which I like as well, not just like a, 3 or 4 month rental, because there's no reason to have that. We've been a team dealing in futures for like the last decade and a half. Now we finally have those futures paying off. So I wouldn't want to sell the farm for him, but if we could figure out a way to get him in, I'd be very happy.
I agree. If we can find a reasonable deal for him, I just don't want to overpay for him when – I don't know. He's probably at this point not a true number one, but he's definitely at the top of your rotation. But I love, what we've got coming up. And as we've mentioned this year, probably not our year to get into the playoffs, but we are around that mark, only a couple games back. How do you foresee the remainder of this season going? I'll start with you here, Thomas. Any chance that the Padres can continue to hover right around that wild card mark?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think they're going to be a contender. If they don't get Syndergaard, it doesn't mean that they're going to be shut out from getting somebody. I agree with you. I would go for Syndergaard, but if I can't, then I'm going to get a plug-in guy to kind of alleviate the innings and not give up, maybe a low-level minor leaguer. But, yeah, I think they're just really just one starter and one relief pitcher away from really being in the actual chase. And the Dodgers, we're not going to catch them, but we can get in a definite wild card playoff chase.
One thing that you just brought up, Thomas, that made me think, you're talking about we need a starter and a bullpen piece, but I think with all the guys we have hovering around the starting rotation, any starter you bring in, all of a sudden we can drop that guy who's like 6 or 7 in line in the starting rotation, or 5 right now, into the bullpen. And a guy like a Matt Strom has been stellar out of the bullpen, and they're trying to convert him to a starter. He throws, 3-4 miles an hour slower as a starter, than from the pen. And that's a real thing. I think a guy like Cal Quantrill, we've seen him come out of the bullpen. Logan Allen. We have all these really good pitchers who I think could be really good bullpen pieces if we have starters to take their place. Right now, the biggest challenge has been finding 5 people to take the ball every 5 days. So, yeah, if we added a guy like a Syndergaard or any starter for that matter, then our bullpen immediately gets stronger just by being able to drop one of those back of the rotation starters into the pen.
What do you guys think of going to a 6-man rotation? So then you lessen the production of Paddock, and maybe you could keep him for an entire season because you won't be hitting his innings limits. And then you would have 6 in the bullpen, and then it works that way. I mean, obviously you're going to have a lot more effect on the bullpen, but it keeps Paddock around for an entire season instead of having him possibly being shut down in August.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been a small sort of the plan. You know, we know Paddock isn't going to be pitching every 5th day. We want to, ensure that he stays healthy.
Yep.
So I think that's a good idea. We've kind of done a little bit of that, bringing up all these young guys, somewhat consistently. So, yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, we've been using the injured list and the rotation kind of as a way to get around instead of just going to a pure like 6-man rotation where we've got like a 7-8 man revolving door between here and El Paso to actually they just pretend to send them to Lake Elsinore, so the old major league to single A jump just to limit those innings. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. It's exciting though. This is the first time we've been talking about how to make this year's team better for it to be worthwhile. In the past, it's been what kind of piece can we get for 2021, 2020, that kind of thing. So this year it's like, hey, can we bring someone in to make our team right now a potential October team? So, man, things are looking up.
Of course. Thing you mentioned about what we've done in past years, one thing has been giving away our closer or one of our better relievers. We saw it with Brad Hand. We saw it with Fernando Rodney, if I'm going back a few years. Is there any way that you give up either a Yates in the bullpen or a Renfroe type in the outfield?
Yates, absolutely. No offense, I love Kirby Yates. I also really like Brad Hand. I liked Houston Street when he was here. Loved Trevor Hoffman. Obviously, Fernando Rodney was an all-star. We enjoyed his few-month tour of San Diego. But we also churn out all-star closers like a factory. Pretty much every single year, whoever's the Padres closer, just dial him up, shoo him in for an all-star appearance because that's the guy who's going. So until we don't have a closer, I just feel like that's a luxury item for us. Like, yeah, of course we have a closer. So ship this guy off, and the next guy who comes in will be an all-star next year. But teams always need a closer. I just think it's a area of value where we can get a massive return. I think the Mejia return last year, at the time, I really liked it. He hasn't gotten all the plate appearances to see if that's a worthwhile move, but I mean, we got Chris Paddock out of Fernando Rodney deal a couple years back. So if we could turn Kirby Yates into a, cornerstone stud, either starting pitcher or position player, I'm all about it. Hunter Renfroe, on the other hand, I don't know. His stats are so comparable over the last couple of years to Bryce Harper. It's unbelievable. It seems laughable, but it's not even a joke. His average, no, it's really not.
Really?
Pretty much across the board, his numbers are very similar in production to Bryce Harper, and he costs $600,000 or $700,000. It's crazy. I don't know if we can get rid of Renfroe.
And this year he's only played.
This year he's blown him out of the water. But if you talk about the last few years combined, look at their stats. It's strikingly similar.
Good point, sir. Thomas, any final thoughts on the Padres before we transition?
Yeah, please don't trade Hunter Renfroe. He had so many big home runs.
Singers.
Clutch.
And that is something that isn't easily, to me, I wouldn't give away because he is so clutch in the big moment, and he's done a tremendous job this year. Just look at that Dodger series. Yeah, he single-handedly won 2 games by himself.
Yeah, his record against the Dodgers is pretty good with what he did last week and that walk-off.
If for no other reason than for what he's done against the Dodgers, we got to kill this guy.
Oh, good stuff, guys. Well, we know that there will always be Padres conversation week to week. That is guaranteed. We'll move it on to another big sport, the NBA. And there is a jersey just over the right shoulder of Thomas Conroy, our producer. Kawhi Leonard, when he was with the Spurs, biggest name in free agency this year, he decides to go to the Clippers as opposed to staying with the Raptors or going to La La Land with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Were you surprised by this decision, Brian?
I was surprised in a weird way because if you had told me a year ago, hey, a year from now Kawhi is going to sign with the Clippers, everyone was saying that. So I was like, okay, yeah, that would make sense. But then over the last couple of weeks, it's been the Clippers are out. Toronto's in. The Lakers are in. He's for sure going to the Lakers. This, that, and the other thing. I was really hoping. Man, it's weird. Okay. Because I want to say I was hoping he would go to the Lakers. Because as a Laker fan, like that's what you want to see. You want the easiest path to a title. And Laker fans are spoiled. So I was hoping he would go to the Lakers. But for the sake of the league and competitive balance, I hate that term, but I also love it. Now there's a dozen teams. Yeah, wide open. Oh, my God. Don't even get – when the football season comes around, we'll talk about the phrase wide open and how much I hate it. I also hate it in basketball. Like, they overuse
Especially
wide open
NBA,
so much. Oh,
really
my God, in the NBA. Yeah. Oh, he missed a wide open three. There's a hand in his face and a 7-foot tall guy bearing down on him. That's not wide open. Wide open is the three-point contest. Okay, sorry.
Competitive balance.
Yeah. Where the hell were we? Sorry. But, yeah, now there's probably a dozen teams in the league who legitimately think they have a chance to win a championship. If Kawhi had gone to the Lakers, you would have one team that thinks they're going to win. Everyone else would be like, oh, maybe there's a chance if people get hurt, blah, blah, blah. Now, and, I'd say the two prohibitive favorites are both in L.A., and that's exciting because, the Clippers have never been a contender, never been relevant. They've been in the Lakers' shadow. Even though the Lakers haven't been to the playoffs in 6 years, the Clippers are still so far in second place in that town that this will make it exciting.
I absolutely love the move by Kawhi. I'm a big Kawhi fan, and I'm more of a Lakers hater. Growing up here in San Diego, didn't really have a team. Moved up to the Sacramento area, so I adopted the Kings as my team. So
still didn't have a team.
Yeah. Hey, that was in '98 through 2005 when they had Bibby, Weber, Peja, Vlade, all those guys.
Yep.
So it was a fun team to watch. But then their enemy, was the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe. So I have just always hated every single LA team, from them to the Dodgers to the LA Raiders. So I love the move by Kawhi going to the smaller team in the big market. Let's not forget the Clippers were hovering around the number 1, number 2 seed for the first 2 months of the season this last year. Obviously dropping down all the way to 8, but I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm excited to watch it. I don't know how things are going to turn out for the rest of the teams in the Western Conference, but it brings intrigue for the Clippers for once, like you said.
Yeah, and the Paul George piece, unbelievable. Thomas, you were talking about that a little bit earlier. Like, we did not see that coming. The Kawhi thing may be more understandable, but where the hell did Paul George come from?
I always thought Kawhi was going to go to the Lakers because of the reporting last year. I just never saw why he would never, if he was going to come back to Los Angeles, it was going to be with the Clippers. But when Wojnarowski said, oh, and by the way, they traded for Paul George, that's where I dropped my phone. I was like, what? Where did that come from?
Am I reading this right? Is this Sports Talk Barry?
I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
I was like, that came out of nowhere. I mean, and they basically mortgaged their future to win a championship in the next 2 to 3 years. So, congrats to the Clippers.
I hope they don't.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you bring in George with Kawhi, Beverly, and a couple of those other guys. Going to be a team to watch. But as you mentioned, it's going to be the next 2 to 3 years. Kawhi signs that 3-year deal for $103 million as opposed to a max contract, also with an opt-out option for the final year. It's so interesting, these NBA contracts. We've talked about it a little bit before, but as you've said, Brian, they have so much control, and they're changing teams every 2, 3, 4 years. It's not the 90s anymore.
NBA contracts are like Division I college contracts for coaches. It's not for players. Like a good mid-major college coach is on like an NBA contract. It's like minute to minute. Like, oh, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Everything is an opt-out or just a buyout because Michigan will come in and pay $5 million to your little podunk school and buy you out of your deal. But yeah, the NBA, it's also so hard to keep track of, one, where the hell everybody is. So the first like couple months of the season when nothing's going on, you're just trying to watch games, figure out who's on what team. Exactly. And then by the time you get like midway through, you feel confident that you know who's on what team. And then at the end of the season, it's, who the hell's going to be a free agent? Everybody in the league is a free agent this year. It's so wild, man.
Yeah.
I don't
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
I just read an article over the weekend on Willie Cauley-Stein, and then I didn't realize that they were talking about him with the Warriors. I go, wow, that would be a kind of a good pickup if they did it. And then I said, and he signed a one-year deal. I was like, when did that happen?
Wait, Willie Cauley-Stein with the Warriors?
Yeah.
It's
just broke news.
And there's like mediocre players signing $30, $40 million deals for 2 years. Like, man, I really wish I had been a mediocre NBA player. That'd be a good living.
Well, switch it over to a different team and a different player in the NBA. The Miami Heat, they brought in Jimmy Butler, and now they're rumored to potentially bring in Russell Westbrook, who, where's his future with OKC now that Paul George is gone. We'll see if that happens. Russell Westbrook has always kind of been a mystery to me. He played with Kevin Durant and James Harden. I love the fact that he stuck it out with OKC really as long as he could. Do you see him going to Miami with Butler or any other option?
I don't know. It sounds like what OKC is looking for in return is pretty massive. Also, I think if you're Oklahoma City, you have to have at least 5 players on your roster, right? I feel like their entire team is just future draft picks. So I don't know what the hell they're going to put out on the floor. But if I was Russell Westbrook, I would be doing everything I can to get out of town. Maybe he has to say that he's not going to come play. I don't know. But he's been, like you said, very loyal to the OKC soil. So I could see him sticking it out. But, man, I'd want to get on the first train out of town.
I agree. What do you think about that one, Thomas?
Yeah, I think Westbrook is not long for OKC. I don't know if he's going to get traded between now and the start of the season, but I could see him definitely being a player to be picked up at the tail end, at the deadline. And God, I couldn't tell you where he's going. I guess Miami sounds great, but I think Russ likes playing on a team by himself, and because he can do his triple-double and not have to really worry about he can distribute the basketball when he wants to. I think
winning.
The 2 years that he played with George, I just don't think he felt comfortable in that role of playing alongside a star. As we saw with Durant, he got out of there quickly as he could.
Random story of the day.
Oh, here we go.
So I had nothing to do on 4th of July during the day, so I wandered downtown actually to enter a hot dog eating contest, but that's another story.
No, we're going to get to that right now. Yeah, this is great.
It was a last-minute hot dog contest that I found out about. Winner received $1,000. I ended up getting third place. So
I was
going to say, it was a rough day at the office.
We're going to be eating good tonight at McGregor's.
So,
extra fish tacos.
Randomly, as I'm walking around downtown, I see these gentlemen riding on bird scooters, coming right at me. And right off the bat, I recognize this guy from 50 feet away. I'm like, I know this guy. And it's Russell Westbrook. I'm not even joking.
Wow.
What is Russell Westbrook doing in San Diego on the 4th of July, riding a scooter?
And on a bird scooter.
Yeah.
I mean, those things, if I had, $100 million at stake, I would not be riding a bird scooter.
And so I literally have 5 seconds before I see him, and when he passed by me, I didn't even have time to say hi or bust out my phone or anything. It was just 5 seconds of thinking, what in the world is this guy doing in San Diego?
So you didn't follow him and go?
Okay. I turned around. I was like, I really want to go bug him and shoot a quick video that I can post on the Connections website. But.
Well, wouldn't you want to come to San Diego if you had all the money in the world and free time?
I would.
That's where I'd be.
I love doing it here without making
I
noise.
definitely wouldn't be in Las
right?
Vegas at the Summer League.
That's true. What we got to get back to this hot dog eating contest.
Oh, jeez.
Because one thing I was thinking of when we were talking about topics for today, 4th of July did just pass, and that's a big time when people get together and barbecue or things like that. And I was wondering, like, what type of food you think of for 4th of July? Like, what's your go-to 4th of July meal? And I always think of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest in Coney Island. Mm-hmm. I went to it one time.
Really?
It was really fun. I went to it the first year that Joey Chestnut won. I believe it was 2007, July 4th. So Kobayashi had been the guy for so long. And then everybody knew, like, oh, there's this guy, Joey Chestnut, who might – I don't even know if we knew his name at the time, but we knew there was a challenger who might be able to compete. And he won that year. It was really exciting. Everybody was cheering USA. It was probably – that part's bad. But I think of hot dogs. I think of, like, hamburgers, little things you can throw on
barbecue,
the grill.
Yeah, for sure.
But you were in a hot dog eating contest. So I was going to say, did anybody have a hot dog or a hamburger on 4th of July? But it sounds like you had a lot of hot dogs.
Yeah, I had a few. Confession, I have a small past life doing a few eating competitions. So the contest I thought I had a really good chance with it because it was more of a speed contest as opposed to capacity. So it was 2 rounds of 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, eat as many as you can. If you're in the top half, you move to the final round. So I thought I actually went pretty conservative. I thought if I ate like 5 or 6 in the first round, I'd easily advance to the last round. But I only ate I think I ate 5 and a couple bites. And then 3 other people, one person ate 8, and then 2 other people ate 6. So I didn't even advance to the final round.
Oh, really?
With a chance at $1,000. So I could have eaten more, but I was kind of in my zone.
So you were like a marathoner who was just kind of coasting the first few miles, like, oh, I'll just let someone set the pace, and then you got ran away from.
There was only like 8 people there, and they were only going to take the top 3. So I was like, oh, if I eat like 4 or 5, I'm good.
But you also know if you eat 10, you're screwed for the next round.
Exactly. So that's
tough.
The thought process. So
you're trying to say is you blew it.
I blew it. I was pretty stunned that I didn't make it to the final round. I will say that if I made it to the final round, I definitely would have lost. The guy that had 8 in the first round, his name's like the garbage disposal.
Oh, he's
something.
got a name.
Yeah,
he's like Eater X
got
or
his
whatever.
own.
Okay.
He's got his own shirt. He had like 3 cameras going on to film his contest. So once I saw that guy, even at the beginning, I was like, "There's probably no chance." But hey, I gave it a go and saw Russell Westbrook. So
that's pretty awesome.
One of the more interesting 4th of Julys I had, and then I went to bed at like 8 o'clock after all those hot dogs.
What was? I know you did one. Was it like a broken yoke or something?
Oh, yeah.
Was it you did the broken yoke challenge, but weren't you in an eating contest there as well, or you were like a pancake eating contest?
No, that was a different one.
Okay.
The broken yoke is a 12-egg omelet, like 5 pounds of food. I only made it through 90% of that one, so didn't win the T-shirt and get on the Hall of Fame. The other one was like 8 pancakes, chicken fried steak, bacon, eggs, like 5 pounds of food, and I didn't make it through. So. I tried a few things, but even like in the smaller competitions that I did, there'd always be 1 or 2 people there that were pretty much
the
professionals
ringers,
that could eat like 3 times as much food as me. Like one of them that I did, it'd be like this 5-foot girl that would be like 100 pounds. I'd be able to eat like 8 hamburgers, and she would throw down like 25. And I'm like, okay, this is not.
I'm not even in the game.
This is not the thing for me. Yeah. But when you talk about Joey Chestnut and the real professionals, it is scientifically disgusting what they do. Chestnut, I don't know what he ate this year, but I know historically the last couple of years it's been around 65 or 70, and just what he can do is amazing, but also a little sickening.
Really disgusting, but awesome.
Yeah. Thomas, any hot dog analysis?
I'm just amazed about this underground food eating world.
He was in a competitive eating nation.
We need an expose on this.
I can talk further about it.
I see Andy knocking on doors with a secret code to get in these food competitions.
The third or fourth one I did was a sushi eating contest. That's the worst I felt after doing one, because I ate like 14 rolls of sushi, and there was like this aioli sauce on the inside. I'm a little sensitive to dairy. But I said I was going to be in the sushi contest. I posted like Facebook or whatever. I was like, what should my nickname be for my competitive eating endeavors? So ended up going with Raw Bish.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yep.
You know, was doing the sushi thing. So that is / was my competitive eating nickname, but I don't think there's much of a future.
When you said 14 sushi rolls, that reminds me when we were younger. So when you say 14 rolls, you don't mean 14 pieces of sushi. You mean 14 rolls. Okay, like 8 pieces per roll or whatever. So my sister didn't know that, and she was ordering sushi when we were younger, and she called the place and she said, "I'd like 8 California rolls, and 6 sushi rolls or whatever, or 6 shrimp tempura rolls or whatever." So she goes into the place to order, and they're like, "Okay, that'll be $196." So she's like, she said, "Did you just say $196?" And the lady said, "And 13 cents." She's like, "Oh my God, I just wanted like 8 pieces of California roll and 6 pieces of that was." The lady runs in the back, "Stop with the order, stop it!" Just made me think that you put down 14 rolls, not 14 pieces.
I enjoy
Raw
life
Bish.
better. I enjoy life better not feeling like that.
I'm here
afterwards.
for Raw Bish. Thomas, let's sponsor his next competition.
Maybe
and we'll
we're gonna end up having some kind of
a competitive eating competition here at
as
McGregor's
a part of the Best Coast Sports
on
Connection.
Aloha Thursdays.
Oh yeah, Aloha Thursdays here at McGregor's.
Tell them about the specials.
$5 Pacificos and $5 margaritas. I need something. I'm heating up in this Little League jacket from 1997.
It's amazing that you still fit into it, though.
All right.
Here we go.
We're pretty much through the discussion here. I kind of forgot about it just because I've been so busy with work this week, and I've been working nights, so I've barely watched anything. But we had the ESPYs this week.
Yeah.
The annual award show. Did you watch any of it? Or
another event slipped right by me.
Any of the winners and anything?
No, nothing. Not one.
What about you, Thomas?
I didn't watch
Failed.
it, but I heard that Tracy Morgan kind of bombed in his opening monologue. Like, you could just, the look from the players were just like, what is he talking about? Why is he up there?
Yeah, it's the host situation is always interesting. I did note or see that Giannis.
Yep.
Not only did he win NBA Player of the Year, but Male Athlete of the Year.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it's hard to go against that.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the most physically impressive specimen on Earth. The guy is ridiculous. And, again, a likable guy, seems to be even-tempered, and just, there's nothing to not like about that guy. So anytime Giannis wins something, I'm there for it.
Another guy I love watching in a different sport, in the NFL, he won the NFL Player of the Year. Patrick Mahomes. Quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs in a division that includes a team we don't like so much anymore.
Yep. Those we don't speak of.
From what you guys saw from Mahomes, what do you like about him? What do you see him being as a quarterback? As one of the best players in the league.
Obviously, his arm is amazing, but more importantly for me is his composure as a second year, but actually rookie on the field. Second year player, first year as an actual player. He won a couple of games that I watched on television that I was just like, there was no way I thought they'd come back. And I was just like, wow, this kid really is the coming star. He can move out of the pocket, and obviously his arm is amazing. And I think he's really the heir apparent to Brady and Breeze and those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you drafting him high?
I like that I was able to draft him in like the 11th round last year, and I rode him all the way to the championship. I drafted Drew Brees first, and then Mahomes second, and I was able to trade Drew Brees for like Julio Jones or some big haul coming back, and because of that, my team was stacked. And every single week, I watched the Chiefs because I also had Travis Kelce, and then I would pick up whoever the revolving door was at running back. So by the end of the year, I had Damian Williams as well, and I went as the Chiefs went. And they were just the most exciting team in the league to watch. So I kind of was jumping on the Chiefs bandwagon, mostly because of the fantasy implications, but also because I hate the the AFC West team in LA. And so I got nothing bad to say about Mahomes. That guy was really exciting. And
were you
this
talking about
year
the Carson Chargers? The Carson
we
Chargers?
don't say that name, Thomas. But yes, that team.
I love Mahomes. Just so much fun to watch. His arm, as Thomas said, his ability to throw where he's not looking.
Yep.
And, he's just got a good personality. He's pretty humble, I would say, for the most part. And his marketability is so high up there with a LeBron or a Tiger, whatever top athlete you can think of. And he's only in his third year upcoming.
Yeah.
He won an NFL MVP. And, he's got, I would think, a couple of Super Bowl rings on his finger in the future.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Speaking of that team, the Chiefs, in the game of the year for the ESPYs Awards, the winner was the Chiefs and Rams game. I think it was a Thursday night game.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think Thursday night, right? And
it was either Thursday or Monday night. It was one of the national games.
Rams won 54-51. That was so. I lived in another random thought here. I lived in Lubbock, Texas, for a little over a year. I had a job out there and got to watch some Texas Tech games when Mahomes was playing there.
Oh, nice.
Those Big 12 games were that same kind of deal. Games in the 50s and 40s. And you could see the dynamic kind of plays that he could make out of the pocket, throwing across the field, that kind of thing. So I knew, that was coming for him. But, when he was drafted at 10, I didn't necessarily think he was going to, become the MVP in his second year. But going back to that game, 54-51. I remember where I was when I watched that game.
Yeah, I remember just watching the score on my fantasy game, and by that point, I think it was a Thursday game because then the week is already over, and you just you've already won. Really good feeling, but I don't know. There was just something about being in the Coliseum and having those teams just fire it all over the field, and it felt like we're watching a college game. I loved it. I like the Chiefs, man. You're kind of talking me into the Chiefs right now. Jeez, the more I think of it, I'm like, maybe I want to be a Chiefs fan.
I wanted them to go to the Super Bowl. I was pulling for them. I love watching Mahomes. I wanted it to be them and the Saints, since I still love Drew Brees, and they got screwed by the NFL pretty much.
Yeah, that was rough.
So they lose to the Rams, who go to the Super Bowl and lose to the Patriots. The other team in LA besides the Rams.
Nope.
To those of you, any of you watching or listening that have feelings for them, I believe there was some breaking news today.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Conroy, our producer. What was it?
Well, Melvin Gordon told the Chargers that if you don't give me a new contract in my expiring year of my original deal, I'm out of here. And that's so typical Chargers. Waiting until the last possible minute for a holdout.
They feel like they finally got some consistency with their offensive attack, and then all of a sudden the running back's like, I'm not going to show up.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much thought or analysis on the Chargers just because I don't care. If I was a fan, though, I would be a little scared because Gordon is a pretty solid workhorse.
So it would feel like business as usual? You're like,
exactly.
We screwed something else up. Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Something not going our way.
Anyways, we don't need to delve into that. Any other thoughts or topics or questions that come to mind, gentlemen, on episode 2?
Hey guys, I'm just looking over your shoulder, and our good buddy just got traded, Russell Westbrook.
Oh really?
For real?
He got traded to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul and
No
draft
way.
picks.
Oh my dog!
What the hell is Chris Paul going to do in OKC? They're going to trade him to Miami.
Dude, he just needs to retire.
Are you... Thomas, you just made that up?
I wish I would have mentioned that earlier because the Rockets were one of the teams in the conversation, but the Heat were the
plot thickens in the Western Conference.
Westbrook and Harden together again, huh?
Okay. So
wow.
Give me your top 4
How many basketballs do they get to play with?
I think it's still one.
Oh, okay. Dang. Then they're in trouble.
Like the Atlantic League in baseball.
Okay, at some point we're going to talk about the Atlantic League because they are awesome. Oh my gosh. They had in their All-Star game last night, they had robot umpires.
Who and what is the Atlantic League?
It's a professional league in the East Coast. They play baseball. That's the sport. and they had robot umpires in their All-Star game last night.
Ooh,
and
IT.
Thomas was telling me earlier about they're going to, in the second half of the season, implement the ability to steal first base. I said, how the hell do you steal first
I
base?
was going to say the same thing.
So if a ball that's pitched from the pitcher hits the dirt, so if the catcher doesn't catch the ball, so as if on like a strike 3, you can take off and run if the ball's in the dirt, if the catcher doesn't catch it. Now, at any point in the count, if the catcher does not catch the ball, you can take off to first base if you think you're going to make it.
That's too much to think about.
I think it's awesome.
That's cool,
it's
though.
the best thing ever. And I hope that adult baseball here in San Diego picks that up and we can try it, experiment with
Broadcast nightmare.
a broadcast nightmare maybe, but how exciting for the fans.
And that's... Wait a minute, he's going to his first base.
What hit? You can see like it'll be
He's
missed
gonna take the first pitch,
opportunities.
yeah.
There's like a power hitter at the plate, and he's like, no, I'm not running. Or like a really fast guy who takes off. They're like, oh, what's he thinking? It's a 2-0 count, you know? Oh,
Gets caught halfway
God, it
down.
would be
first base.
awesome. Yeah, that would be so awesome. Did you get in a rundown? And if you make it to home, then you get to hit again. That's what I want to see.
That's amazing.
Oh, we're having too much fun.
That was
Only
a
in
good night.
baseball.
Okay. Going back to Westbrook real quick here. Sorry, I want to talk more about this. guy
From
that
the
I saw
Atlantic
last week.
League to Westbrook. Smooth
No
transition.
seamless transition there.
On the phone is
Yeah.
Woj
On
from
the
ESPN.
Aloha hotline.
The Aloha hotline from McGregor's. So
Oh,
good.
Golly. Okay, Westbrook. Who are your top 4 teams in the Western Conference right now?
Like, assuming Westbrook is on the Rockets
yes.
and they have to play with one ball,
Yes.
and we're still going to assume that Klay Thompson is out for Golden
half the
State.
year,
Okay,
or-
for at least till March or so. The Lakers, 1. The other team in that building, the team with the smaller locker room, they're number 2. And everyone else is like really mediocre.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Probably Houston.
Yeah, I mean, they were the 4th seed. last year,
Golden
right?
State
How do
once
they get
once
worse?
Clay gets back. But yeah, Houston. I don't know. And then like
Yeah, like
the
the
Portlands
Jazz,
and the
Trailblazers,
Denvers
yeah.
and the Utahs. Those teams are all kind of similar, and they're okay. They could have a run, but I don't take them seriously as title contenders. I think it's still Golden State, Houston, and the 2 LAs.
Yeah, I think Houston's 1 because they have chemistry. I think the other 3 have to find chemistry.
Chemistry. They have Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, but they played together. That's chemistry.
Like
They know
100
each
years
other's
ago.
moves, but they played together. It isn't like you forget how to play with somebody.
So is James Harden going to come off the bench on this team too? Russell Westbrook. I'll go
Yes,
I'll go
what
to
are you
Houston.
suggesting that?
I'll go to Houston if Harden comes off the bench.
Oh, that.
Hey, we worked better when you came off the bench, remember?
Oh, man.
Oh,
Okay,
that's good. What about you, Andy? What do you think?
I got 2 LA teams, Rockets, and then probably the Trailblazers. I mean, they were the 3 seed this year, went all the way to the conference finals. I mean, the Warriors, they'll be a playoff team, but yeah, the Clay uncertainty puts them in the lower
Yep.
quarter, or lower 4, I would say. Okay, going to the Lakers, though. Yes,
Yeah.
LeBron. Yes, AD. Big pickup with DeMarcus Cousins. No, I'm
Yep.
kidding. Kind of, sort of.
It is a big pickup. He was injured, man. He was playing injured.
I know.
He looked like a shell of himself with
Yes,
Golden State.
yes.
He's going to be a different player. And he can play with Anthony Davis.
Yes,
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think, we see so much of the Houston Trailblazers, Warriors with the 3-point ball. How do you think, is that, what kind of game are the Lakers going to be playing with AD and LeBron?
Not that. The 3-point game. They're going to try to take it back.
To the 80s?
Yeah.
Well, not the 80s.
Not quite the 80s,
60s.
but they're going to. And yeah, LeBron running the point, AD, they're going to try to play a bigger, more physical game. They're going to try to out-physical everybody. I was expecting them to try to go out and get like some Kyle Korver type or JJ Redick or Seth Curry or some dynamic 3-point shooter. Danny Green has been that at times in his career, but he's also looked lost at times. And in the NBA, that'll get you a $70 million deal. But
Can I sign up for that? I can
yeah,
do that.
seriously, that's what I'm saying. medium, run-of-the-mill NBA player. I'm in. But I think they're going to play a different style than anybody else in the league. It's a little more of like the Eastern Conference style right now, like what Philadelphia did. To a degree, what Milwaukee tries to do with Giannis in there. But yeah, I think we may be seeing a bit of transition back into that type of game. I just don't know if you can live forever on the three ball. We'll see. Or the Lakers might shoot 83s a game and win 30 games. I have no idea. I sure hope not.
Any last thoughts on the NBA, Thomas?
I'm really looking forward to the season. Yeah. I know Brian's going to hate this, but I do believe the championship is wide open. I think there are a few teams out there that can actually win it. Yeah. I think Milwaukee, after that tough loss last year to Toronto, I think they're going to learn a lot. And, and obviously the West is now just it's going to be an insane playoffs. And I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I could care less about the regular season.
Which is like every year. That's just basketball.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Brian, any final thoughts?
I just want to say congratulations to the U.S. Women's National Soccer team on winning the World Cup. That was very exciting.
Yeah, they were the team of the year in the ESPYs.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, as they should have been. Mm-hmm. How did they make that decision so quickly, by the way?
I don't know.
I guess
ESPN
has enough money to make the trophy real quick, but
apparently.
Yeah, that's very exciting. The World Cup being every 4 years is something to get excited about, kind of like the Olympics. And then you stop paying attention for 4 years, and then you think about it again, So we'll think about it again in 2023, and hopefully Alex Morgan's still on the team. And
hey, she was female athlete of the year as well.
Really?
So.
Not Rapinoe? Wow.
No, it was Morgan.
Yeah. Well, you can't go wrong with either one of those. So
yeah, I agree.
Congratulations to them.
Absolutely.
Here.
We'll figure out something to talk about next week. I know
we'll watch some sports too.
We'll watch some sports between
come in totally
this
unprepared.
Week and next week. You do have the British Open Golf Championship happening next week. The final of 4 majors in golf.
So does that mean the Scottish Open is happening starting today? Did that happen? Does the Scottish Open precede the British Open?
I think it does. The first round.
Okay.
I should know that. I saw something the other day, like Tiger's been waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning for his workouts instead of the normal, 4 o'clock.
I like that.
I want to see him in contention. That's
always
fun, right?
Yep. Never go wrong there.
Brooks Koepka won the the golf athlete of the year. Pretty ridiculous what he's been doing as well.
Yep.
All right, I think that's going to do it, unless you guys have any final words.
No. I'm good, baby.
Fun times, guys. Episode 2 of the Best Coast Sports Connection coming to a conclusion. We'll see you next time.